Okay, so here we are in Claude Chat, and this simple interface has a couple things that are worth pointing out. First is this plus button right here, which is how you add files, connectors, choose styles, toggle on the web search or research options, and more. We're going to skip this stuff for now, but just know this is where you go to find it. Okay, next there is this button over here, which right now says Opus 4.7 Adaptive. And this is how you choose which model you're going to use for Claude and whether you want to toggle on adaptive thinking. So adaptive thinking is great for more complex tasks. If you toggle this on, your results will likely be better, but it will also likely take more time to generate those. There's also the 3 different models, which are worth unpacking here quickly. Opus is the most capable model. This one does the most, but it also is the slowest. So this is great if you have more complex tasks, but it's also going to use the most bandwidth or tokens. And so for most people, Sonnet is going to be the sweet spot. That's the one in the middle here, which is the most efficient for everyday tasks. And then there is a Haiku model, which is a super fast model for quick answers. All of these use different amounts of tokens based on the usage that is assigned to your account. We'll get into the pricing later, and I'll show you where you can monitor your usage. But for now, just recognize that this is where you choose the model that you want to use. Okay, so now let's just type in this chat box here and start with our first query. And this is ScreenCastsONLINE. So to start here, I'll ask my M3 Max MacBook Pro is starting to feel slow. Is it time for me to upgrade? Okay, let's hit enter. We get this animation, which indicates that Claude is thinking, and then as it answers, we'll see the answer appear on screen. Okay, so here's the first response here. Before I spend several $1,000s, maybe we should run some diagnostics and see if something is off. Then it gives me an honest answer, probably not, and definitely not before diagnosing what's actually causing the slowness. So it's going to help me walk through what's actually going on. Is it my storage? Well, if it's under 15% free, macOS can get sluggish, so there's a command I can run in the terminal or check the About This Mac storage to see if that's the issue. Then there is a section here on memory pressure. It's telling me to open the activity monitor and the memory tab, see if something is hogging RAM. Then it's going to walk me through background indexing, maybe Spotlight or iCloud Sync or Time Machine is chewing up my CPU in the background. So it gives me instructions to see if that is the culprit. Next, there's the macOS version. If I'm on a recent version of Tahoe that's misbehaving, maybe a clean reboot can help. And then finally, because Claude has all of the context and memory from all of the other chats that I have had with it, it knows I'm a big Obsidian user. So maybe those thousands of files that I have with the DataView.js queries, that could be slowing down my computer. Okay, so it walked me through all of these different things to check. Then it says, if I do want to upgrade, the timing actually isn't great. The M5 Pro and the M5 Max MacBook Pros just shipped in March with about a 15% CPU and 20% GPU improvement over the M4 chips. It's not that big of a change. So basically it's telling me that I should probably hold off, especially given that there are rumors of a major redesign as early as 2027. And the pills to the right of the text that it's returning are links to the sources on the web where it's finding this information. So the summary here is that buying an M5 Max today is not recommended, and I should just hold off if I can. Then it offers to walk me through those diagnostics. So let's actually do that. Yes, walk me through the diagnostic. Okay, so the first thing here is to open terminal and run uptime to see when I last restarted my Mac. That could be something that improves performance. The next thing I should do is check my storage, which it gives me that terminal command that I can run. Next, there's the activity monitor and the 3 different places that I should check, including the CPU tab, the memory tab, and the disk tab. Fourth, it's telling me to look at what is actually launching at login and tells me exactly where to go in my system settings to look at those things. Fifth, it says to check and see if there is a pending macOS update that is half installed. Sixth, it's giving me some Obsidian specific checks to look at. And number 7, the hardware sanity check, run the CPU benchmark and post the score. It knows exactly what an M3 Max should hit. And so if I were to actually do that diagnostic and upload the screenshot, it might be able to tell me a little bit more about what's going on here. All right, now let's look at an example with an uploaded PDF document. You can drag and drop these from the Finder. I'm actually going to click this plus button right here and add the file or photo and select this Q2 launch planning meeting notes.pdf file and upload that to the chat as context. So now that I've uploaded this file, I can now interact with the chat and have it give me feedback based on the contents of this file. This is one of the most underrated everyday uses of Claude. So let's ask Claude to summarize and pull the action items from this PDF. Okay, so this 4-page PDF is going to be looked at, and then Claude will give me this summary here about the 5 topics that were discussed, as well as all the action items and the person that they are assigned to. It will also, at the end here, give me some analysis and say that a couple of these items are owner ambiguous, and so someone needs to own these before they're due on April 22nd. Let's look at a couple other examples here though. Next, let's upload a CSV file. Let's search for the 2025 revenue CSV right here. Upload that as context. And this time we'll ask Claude to chart the trend and tell me what stands out. So this CSV file, I could open inside of a program like Numbers or Excel and then create a chart using the tools that are built in there. But Claude will actually build this chart for me automatically, and it actually looks quite a bit better than it would if I tried to do it inside of a spreadsheet application. So we've got different lines here for software subscriptions, consulting services, physical products, and online courses. But in addition to this chart, Claude is also going to give me an analysis of this data. So this is where things get really useful. For example, we can see that software subscriptions are doing the heavy lifting. This has grown from 42.5 thousand to 67.2 thousand. That's up 58% on the year. Consulting, on the other hand, was at 38,000. That's down to 22.1 thousand, and it's declining every single month. So that's something we should pay attention to and decide whether this is intentional because we're widening it down, or if this is due to a leak that we haven't plugged yet. The physical products line is the real story here because it bumps along at the 8,000 to 11,000 range for 9 months, but then in October it starts climbing, and by December it's at 31.4 thousand, nearly tripling after 90 days. So it's asking, what caused that? Was it a launch? Was it seasonality? And what sort of planning changes do we need to make based on this information? And then finally, online courses look like a New Year's resolution business. January, they were at 24.5 thousand. Then they fall off a cliff in February down to 15.2. Spends the rest of the year somewhere between that range with a small Q4 lift. And then at the bottom, it's telling us the big picture here. We grew revenue from 113,000 to 136,000. It's a healthy 20% growth, but the mix changed dramatically. And the business in December is very different than the one that we started with in January. This sort of analysis is available if we dig into the numbers deep enough ourselves, but it can be a little bit tricky if that's not something that you normally do. So Claude can be very useful in helping you understand the story that these numbers are really telling you.